As a juvenile, Benjamin was arrested multiple times for stealing cars. His mom even reached out to 10 TV asking for him to be locked up. But Judge Michael Holbrook gave him probation.
I've been begging and pleading. Please arrest him, lock him up, do something that's going to make him pay for the things that he's out here doing.
That was Tiffany Hammonds, Benjamin's mom, in 2023, begging for judges to lock up her son. A month later, Benjamin was shot while trying to steal another car. Last May, he was arrested in back-to-back days in Whitehall for his role in stealing cars.
You say you're a father? Okay. You taking care of business there yet? No, because you've been in jail. Okay, it's time to grow up. You put yourself in this situation.
Yesterday, Judge Michael Holbrook released him on community control on charges of felonious assaults and receiving stolen property.
And we're caught up into the game. Now, I was told by the prosecutor no one was hurt. That was important to me. If someone had been hurt, it had been a different decision.
Does it send the wrong message to him and to other car thieves if you just give him probation?
Watch the video. My message was to him. I can't fix everybody else out there. I'm sending him the message to him.
Holbrook explains instead of sentencing him to 2 years in prison, he'll be on strict supervised release for 5 years.
It's one of those times where do I take the chance or not? And I figured in this situation, taking the chance with a bigger, how should I say, mallet over his head, because point blank is I'll deliver the consequences if he screws this up.
Yeah, what it tells the community is your safety is not important. Look, Lacey, we feel like a broken record here. For years here, we've been calling on criminals to be held accountable for their actions. We've been calling on our elected officials and our judges to hold them accountable.
Fraternal Order of Police President Lieutenant Brian Steele argues this type of sentence is why the stolen car issue continues.
Here's a recidive offender, whether it's juvenile or adult. Now we're going to turn him back onto the streets that we took him off. It's a complete failure.
Holbrook says if Benjamin is arrested while out on community control, he'll send him to jail for the max, which is 8 to 12 years. In Columbus, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
According to experts, how well you can read, your social development, and how much money you earn as an adult is often tied to school. And in order to reap the benefits, they say you have to attend class consistently. But data from the Department of Education and Workforce shows that more than a quarter of Ohio students are chronically absent, meaning they're missing at least 10% of the school year. That's where Adero Robinson gets involved.
Our mission is to provide services to students who need additional supports to help them overcome barriers to their educational experience.
He's the CEO of Communities in Schools Ohio. The nonprofit has site coordinators in 61 schools across the state. Last year, they worked with almost 2,000 kids to address chronic absenteeism. And they say the reasons why kids skip varies.
It could be from transportation, food insecurity. It could be, I had to take care of little brother, little sister.
But no matter the reason, their end goal is the same.
To increase our graduation rate. If we catch them young, then we got them at middle school, and then we got them at high school to keep them going.
I make the joke that when I first started, I adopted 147 kids and 12 staff members. So it's like, how can I help?
It's a goal the new principal of North Columbus Preparatory Academy, Ernest White, is all too familiar with.
One of the things that my staff and I have done is we'll put a list together and I'll go out and I'll knock on doors.
Why do that?
Well, one thing that I learned from working in the criminal justice system, I started about 31 years ago. There's not a lot of positive role models out there. Some just, they need support. Some families need support.
At North Columbus Prep, they also use positive reinforcement and incentives like prizes and points to keep kids coming back. It's a new program, but so far, White says it's working. And in the end, it's work they hope sees more buy-in from the community.
Why should this work matter to all of us?
Because you care about the future. So it's investing. You know, we are all taught about investing. It's investing in the community and our future.
It impacts us all, whether it be economically, it impacts housing, it impacts homelessness, all these issues that we're dealing with, all of these different partners are working on. A lot of it can be rooted in education or lack thereof.
In Columbus, Rochelle Aline, 10 TV News.
According to a report from the Ohio Education Policy Institute, the governor's budget proposal would take more than $103 million away from public schools in the state. Dr. Angela Chapman says $45 million of that would come from Columbus City schools. That money is all poured into buildings just like this one to educate more than 47,000 kids across the city.
These are the kinds of challenges that keep me up at night.
A district superintendent faced with losing millions of dollars that keep the district going.
Be a significant loss to the entire organization.
She's among the hundreds of districts under threat of losing state funding under the governor's proposed budget.
Those dollars are not reaching our school buildings, and we are doing more with less.
Just hours ago, Governor DeWine's press secretary responded to the claims made by schools around the state, saying in part, districts who receive less money under the formula either have fewer students attending their schools, lessening the need for extra funds, or they're receiving greater property tax revenue. While superintendents pleaded with House lawmakers to reconsider, the Senate was talking about school transportation. One point made, Columbus's ongoing battle over transporting private and charter school students and the fines that followed.
So as we're talking about this money and how important that is, how do we justify these $1 million in fines as being a responsible use of public dollars?
Everything that we do is in service of getting our students to school so that they can learn.
The district's treasurer saying the money used to pay those fines couldn't be used in the classroom to offset the loss in state funding.
Do you think the legislature is listening?
I'm certainly hopeful that they're listening and they're paying attention.
Columbus City Schools operates on a budget of about $1.7 billion. $45 million of that would be taken away, but it could be partially made up with $38 million from the levy passed by voters in 2023. However, that still leaves a $7 million budget hole. Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
Governor DeWine says the proposal would put more Ohioans on a path to financial independence. A Democratic representative pushing back on the proposal says it threatens the health care of tens of thousands of Ohioans.
Under the proposal the Ohio Department of Medicaid submitted to the federal government, healthy Ohio adults between 19 and 55 years old with no children or dependents would have to have a job or be in school or a job training program or have a serious physical or mental illness to receive Medicaid benefits. People we talked to in Columbus agree in principle.
It's not a handout, it's a assistance. And so if you need the assistance, then I think you should have it, but it's not a free ride.
Anytime you're receiving compensation, it's probably good to prove that you are working towards contributing yourself.
In a news release, Governor Mike DeWine said in part, reinstating our work requirement will promote self-sufficiency. Ohio Department of Medicaid Director Maureen Corcoran added, by encouraging them to seek employment, we not only enhance their quality of life, but also contribute to healthier communities and a thriving economy in Ohio.
It's a misconception that some of these expansion folks aren't working.
Democratic State Representative Tristan Rader says as many as 62,000 Ohioans could lose Medicaid coverage if a work requirement is put in place. He wrote a letter to the Department of Medicaid in January urging the director not to institute it.
Steps can be difficult for folks, especially folks that are really struggling to make ends meet, that are struggling with transportation needs or struggling to maintain consistent, work.
Director Corcoran was not available for an interview today, but a spokesperson tells me the state is working to create more job training and employment opportunities for those in the Medicaid expansion group.
Now the Department of Medicaid is waiting to hear back from the federal government about whether the state can implement the Medicaid work requirement. In Columbus, Doug Petcash, 10 TV News.
Change is inevitable. Just ask Gary Deaver, who's seen a lot of it in his 84 years living in Brown Township.
We know we can't stay like we are forever.
It's change he's seen in himself.
My legs are weak and my balance is off.
And in the township in his 44 years as a trustee.
Probably the first 10 to 15 years I was trustee, there was very little that went on.
Today, it's a different story. Deaver says Brown Township, known for being rural and agricultural, is growing in popularity for people trying to get away from the city.
That's one of the big selling points that we've had, and we've tried to protect it.
protect it from high-density developments popping up across central Ohio. But with growth comes more change and a need for more resources, including critical ones like fire and EMS.
I know those guys. I drink coffee with them almost every morning.
The Norwich Fire Department has served Brown Township for decades. The last levy approved by the township passed in 2014. Over those 10 years, change brought nearly 20 more firefighters on staff and the cost of fire engines and expenses to double.
And a lot of this stuff, if the fire levy does not pass, will go away.
Deaver is talking about services specifically to Brown Township, which is why they're asking voters there to support the $5.2 million levy. It's something many say you may not realize how important it is until you're the one calling for help.
You don't need it till you need it.
Becky Kent experienced that need firsthand last October.
All of a sudden, I heard this boom.
Their propane tank outside leaked into their basement, causing an explosion.
It sounded like an airplane had hit my house.
She and her husband knew they had to get out fast.
The smoke detector is going off, and we feel like the house is already hot. We see smokes.
Within minutes, the Norwich Fire Department showed up to the rescue.
We really know how well the fire department responds.
It's a situation Kent never thought she'd find herself in until it happened. A change in perspective, highlighting the need for these services to continue.
If our fire service had to come from somewhere else, that could be the difference between someone still having a house and not.
The Norwich Township Fire Department will be hosting a number of informational sessions about the levy right here at the station on Walker Road over the next couple months. For more information on that, you can head to our website. In Hilliard, Carly Dion, 10 TV News.
The cheaper interest rates may be attractive for those home buyers who have been patiently waiting on the sidelines to jump into the market. But the reality is, lower interest rates come at a time of economic distress.
Looking about schools.
Realtor Steve Smith says buckle up.
Definitely become, a much hotter market.
The spring market is here.
Really getting active.
Lower interest rates giving hesitant home buyers a final push.
January, only 3 closings. February, 17 for my team personally.
Despite President Trump's trade war sending stock markets into a scramble, this week total mortgage application volumes jumped 20%. Lender Sebastian Straude says his office is seeing the same spike.
Recession is not a good thing by any means, but for mortgage it is, because mortgage rates go down when the financial world essentially is moving the wrong way.
For those home buyers who have been waiting, is this a great time to get a loan and to finally buy that house?
Well, supply demand. If you're waiting until everyone else joins the market, you're competing with 20, 30 other people.
Another risk with waiting, rates could go back up, but the market is unpredictable. Thousands are losing jobs and inflation is rising.
There's a lot of moving puzzle pieces in the world right now that we just don't know where they're going to land on.
Experts say if buying, stay within your means and always have a financial backup plan.
My advice to a first-time home buyer or any buyer would be not to wait. The spring market is now.
Earlier this month, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell indicated the Fed will not rush to lower interest rates. The central bank's policy committee is deciding on interest rates March 18th. In Plain City, Bryn Caswell, 10 TV News.
A spokesperson for the Ohio Turnpike tells me in the last few days, there's been an uptick in people in the Columbus area receiving these scam texts about unpaid tolls. We went to downtown Columbus at lunchtime and showed people this text I received to see how many people had gotten something like it. Have you gotten this text recently asking about unpaid tolls?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah, absolutely.
But nowadays, it's hard to find something most people have in common. But for many this week, a phishing scam about unpaid tolls is a shared experience. So you've gotten a text like this?
Yeah, I've actually gotten like 3 the past week.
I've told everyone I know, my kids specifically, to delete them, so there's no way they're legit.
It's not just happening in Ohio.
And I've gotten like
Probably say 10 in the last week on my work phone. So
What's the area code for your work phone?
205. So it's Alabama.
You want to look from who the sender is. It's really a really good indication, because oftentimes you can tell that just from looking at it that it is not a legitimate organization.
Like in this phishing text, the sender is a random Yahoo account. Another red flag is a sense of urgency, asking people to pay soon or face more penalties. The BBB also says to look for random letters or misspellings in a link. And what tipped you off that it probably was a scam?
Just the urgency of asking me to give money.
Identifying these red flags can save you from becoming a victim.
What happens if you do click on that link?
Yes, so it could lead to you giving away your account number, losing money, or also having malware installed on your device. So what you want to do is report it as junk, delete it, block it, never interact with it.
If you owe money to the Ohio Turnpike, they will send you up to 3 letters in the mail asking you for money, but they will never send you a text. If you clicked on one of these links, contact your bank. Reporting in Columbus, Carla Rogner, 10 TV News.
This bill isn't about the 105,000 fans that fill the shoe on a Saturday to cheer on the Buckeyes. It's about all Ohio college sports fans who can't get to their game.
I grew up during Woody versus Bo.
Bill DeMora wears his love of the Buckeyes on his sleeve.
All 5 of my watches are Ohio State watches.
And everywhere else.
Every tie I own, every dress shirt I own, every lapel, every sport coat has a lapel pin in it.
He displays it on his walls.
72,000 Ohio State. Now we get 105.
And on his desk.
Brutus came to visit me in my office last year. So I got a picture of Brutus.
As a huge Buckeye fan, he hasn't missed a home game.
Probably since the 90s.
As State Senator Bill DeMora, he doesn't want any Ohio college sports fan to miss a game just because they can't go.
These games are all on those streaming services, but you have to pay extra to watch these streaming services. You can't watch men's hockey or women's hockey or wrestling or volleyball unless you pay extra.
DeMora introduced Senate Bill 94 earlier this month. It would prohibit public universities in Ohio from having contracts to show their sporting events exclusively on a streaming service.
We'll say Ohio State football game is only on Peacock. It has to allow the local station the ability to pick up the game just like the NFL does.
Sports fans we talked to are cheering for the bill.
Especially as students, you can't you're short on money a lot of the time, so you can't afford to buy every platform that streams different games.
It shouldn't be, restricted to just people who can pay to go to these games.
I have been wanting to watch a couple of games sometimes, and if I can't go to them, it's sometimes hard to tune in.
What would you say to people who say, aren't there more important things to worry about?
This is to save money for ordinary people.
DeMora says the bill would also require universities to make sure students have access to watch their team's athletic events for free when they're on the university's Wi-Fi networks.
Students are paying enough to go to college as it is.
And developing a love for their teams.
This is the national championship women's hockey team from last year.
Maybe on the level of DeMora for his.
When Ohio State football loses, I wear nothing but black for 48 hours coming morning because we lost a football game.
The bill is still waiting for its first hearing. In the meantime, Senator DeMora is working to drum up support for it. Support like he has for his beloved Buckeyes. Outside the shoe, Doug Petcash, 10 TV News.
% more people plan to travel this spring break than last year, according to Airlines of America. And whether you're flying or driving, there are ways to travel without breaking the bank.
If you're flying this spring break, prepare to spend more. The average price per ticket is now $280. That's a 4% increase from the same time last year, according to the travel website Hopper. If you're looking for low-cost flights, some travel experts suggest sites like Skyscanner or Flight Deal. Both do the comparison shopping for you by scanning multiple flights to help save you money. Kate Nastro is a travel expert who cautions those who book with a third party.
There is no single best place to find the absolute cheapest price for your airfare. Booking direct is always great. You also have the 24-hour rule, which is something that you have in place by federal law. When you book direct with an airline, at least 7 days out, you can cancel within that 24-hour period.
If flying isn't your thing and you're looking to stay closer to home for spring break, we have you covered. Just 2.5 hours north of Columbus is Girard, Ohio. On March 29th, the town turns into Vintage Fest. 50 vendors come to town for one of the largest vintage clothing events in the state. If eating is more your style, head 2 hours north to Canton. From March 6th to 8th, the Gervasi Vineyard is home to the Cheese Lovers Weekend. A little closer to home, experience life on a real maple syrup farm in Lexington at Mowry Maple Farm. Located an hour north of Columbus, it's one of several maple farms open to the public during the Maple Syrup Festival that runs until March 9th. Even closer to home, pack up the kids and head to the Columbus Zoo for the Eggs, Paws, and Claws Easter egg hunt. It's free with zoo admission. It runs from April 18th to the 19th. Kids will get egg-cited to take a photo with zoo characters. Whether you take to the sky or travel by car, you can save money and time by planning ahead to avoid a spending spree this spring break.
And don't forget opening day for the Columbus Clippers. Columbus's AAA baseball team is April 1st. Tickets are just $8. Reporting from John Glenn International Airport, Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Tonight at the Barnett Community Center, it's just the beginning of putting these plans into action to revitalize the east side of the city.
We have been waiting for this for 15 years.
East Side residents excited about the growth and development to come to their side of Columbus. Plans they say are long overdue.
That was very heartening to see that all the dollars were going other places and investors going to other areas. And we were still screaming over here, hey, see us, hear us. We need those same resources.
But now those dreams are set to become reality with the Department of Neighborhoods launching the Eastland for Everyone Community Plan. It includes what they're calling big ideas to bring housing, retail, community services, and other opportunities to the area, supporting the mission of
how are we making sure that Eastland is a place where people can thrive.
Why do you think it took so long to get to this point?
Well, sometimes you have to look at the capital dollars and you have to see what the fundings are available. And but the thing is, if you want something, you go after it and you still keep asking for it and it'll happen.
The plans were created through community input. When it comes to housing, people want high-quality, affordable places to live, senior housing, and support programs. For retail, people want more access to critical services and support for small businesses. A big focus currently is what will become of the old Eastland Mall, as work is underway to tear it down.
They want to see something that is more productive, more efficient, that meets their needs, right? So, and that is a mix of uses: housing, retail, commercial spaces, green space.
Plans to make the area a more inclusive place for a diverse group of people, all in an effort to recognize
Eastland is for everybody.
Organizers say they want to continue hearing from the community about what's important to them as these plans move forward. In East Columbus, Carly Dion, 10 TV News.